Hey, Ninja Writers, welcome to Social Media for Writers. This is our very first recording for what is going to be our theme for the entire year, Social Media for Writers. And we have a monthly theme, and every month we're going to have a little call. It'll at least be Adrienne and I, and it looks like Janita is going to be joining us at least for this week, and we're going to try to talk her into joining us every month. What we will be doing this year is exploring social media and how it can work for writers. We are going to, this month's was just an introduction, and we're going to talk about some goals, and next month we're talking about branding and then content creating, and then we're going to go through a whole bunch of different social media platforms, including, I have my list like right here in my notebook: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube, Medium, Substack, and TikTok. And so we just before we started recording, we were talking about all the other social medias that are not on our list. We might end up doing this for 2 whole years, but we're going to be doing the work ourselves of learning these and trying to get a better handle on social media presence. So all 3 of us are authors, and also have other businesses that we either do social media for or that we're building up for ourselves. So I'm Shanta Grimes. I'm the owner of Ninja Writers. I'm a novelist. I write children's books, and this year I'm going to self-publish romance if it kills me. So I will be working on social media during this whole year on my pen name for my romance books and for Ninja Writers. And Adrienne?
I am actually not an author yet. I'm just a writer, but I will be an author soon, hopefully. And I'd like to be able to tap into my audience before I'm an author. And I think that's possible. But I don't know. I'm not sure what
You're
else
also,
to say.
You're also going to be working on the work for this year for our little side project.
Yeah. So, I'm hoping to build up, my own personal, social media, platform. And also, for our side business, our snapshot obscura, like vintage photo business, I think, has the potential to do really well on, both, I think, Instagram and also maybe even somewhere like TikTok, but I think definitely on Instagram. And so that's going to be my focus.
So Adrienne's going to work on doing all of the exercises and everything for Snapshot Obscura, which is our little side gig. And I'm going to do it for Ninja Writers, and we're both going to be working on it for our author platforms. And Janita Key is a Ninja Writers team member. You can introduce yourself, Janita.
I'm an author. I have a collection out on Amazon. I'm also on Storm Dance Publications, and we have 4 Grumpy Old God anthologies out, and we're re-releasing Love Gods in February, and we were releasing Trickster in April. And so I'll be working on social media, especially for Storm Dance Publications, because we're trying to really get that out there and going again. We're going to be focusing probably on Twitter and Facebook and maybe a little Instagram. I haven't started an account yet for that. I do Instagram for Insecure Writer Support Group. So I'm kind of learning by doing it for that group. And I have my own already: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I have all those things for my author platform already on my website and everything. Also, I do a little bit on Pinterest every once in a while too. And I built up a lot of my stuff in the beginning by just doing social media through Twitter and Facebook and Pinterest when I first started out. So
awesome. So I thought one thing that I wanted to make sure that we talked about for you guys, Ninja Writers, today is our definition, or how we are defining social media, because I think there's definitions all over the map. And so if we have a cohesive definition, you'll know what we're talking about when we say social media. So for us and our purposes, social media is the place where your readers are already hanging out. It's yes, the place where your readers are already hanging out. Our little mini course for this month was how to find your niche. And one thing I really want to emphasize is that your niche is not your theme. It's not what you're writing about. It's the people you're writing to. Your niche is people. And that goes for, it's a lot easier to talk about niching for nonfiction, but it goes for fiction as well. Adrian, you've done some research about like aesthetics and how that can affect fiction, like how well fiction does.
Yeah, I think before we talk about that though, like how can people get the mini course that you just mentioned?
Oh, right. The mini course was, if you're already on our email list, it should be in your email. We will put in the show notes a link to a little landing page where you can go and sign up if you'd like that. It's just 3 emails. The first one is kind of figuring out some techniques for figuring out who your niche is. And the second email was 2 exercises that I really like to use to figure out, because to me, it's super exciting that the world is full of people and that some of those people are very interested in the same things that you're writing about. Like they are already out there and they are alive and walking around on the earth, and all you have to do is find them. And then not only that, but in this age of social media, they are out there already asking their questions and letting you know what it is they need. And if you can figure that out, and then just give them what they need, all of a sudden marketing gets way easier because they already want it and you're just giving them what they want, rather than creating something and then kind of crossing your fingers and hoping that somebody who wants it will find it, or that somebody will find it and realize they want it. The difference is huge. And so I have a technique for figuring out what it is that your niche is looking for. And so that's an email number 2. And email number 3 is about keywords and 2 tools that I really love that will help you find the keywords. And when I was writing that email, I was thinking, wow, keywords are kind of like radio signals, right? If you can get on the same channel, all of a sudden you're talking, you're communicating with your niche, because they're out there searching. Like they're going on Google, and also lots of these social media platforms are just basically massive search engines, right? Amazon is a search engine. Pinterest is a search engine. And if you can,
and a lot of these other like Instagram and TikTok, and especially I feel like Instagram and TikTok are, beginning to act more and more like search engines, where you can just go there and type a keyword in the search bar and come up with content and accounts that,
yes. But there's 2 tools that we use, and we'll link to them in the show notes here. One is Publisher Rocket, and one is Uber Suggest. And if you use those tools, you can find out what people are searching for. And so it's like you can tune into that same channel and say, oh, you want I think the example I used in my email was dogs that don't shed, or whatever. Like, you want information about dogs that don't shed. Well, they do. Tens of thousands of people search for that, and the search difficulty is low. And so that means that lots of people are asking for that. There's not enough information out there on it. If you could write a whole book, or you could write at least a blog post or whatever, we have at least one ninja writer who I'm very close with, who is a dog groomer. Like, she could probably make a career out of writing about dogs that don't shed, because there's tens of thousands of people searching for it, and the search volume is very low, which means that she'd be able to rank on Google, so that when those people who are already her niche, right, she doesn't have to convince them, they already want what she knows, search dogs that don't shed, they're going to come up with her book, right?
I think
and
it also is like when something that I think a lot of people have to push past when you say stuff like that, though, is like our friend that is a I think, you know, she's trying to get a dog training business up and
Mhm.
running, right? Like she might not necessarily want to only write about, you know, dogs that don't shed, but that's one article that she can write. Like the those keywords or whatever, just I don't know, if you were to write one article and it were to trend, it doesn't mean that her whole site needs to be about dogs that don't shed, right?
It doesn't have to be about dogs that don't shed, but it there's something to be said. I'm curious what you think about this, Janita, because so I'm a teacher writer, and we can link to the writer archetype test too in the show notes, but I'm a teacher writer. Adrian and Janita both have very high, they're both artist teachers, and there are lots of artists in them. And so for me, I get super excited by the idea that, holy crap, I don't have to fight to figure out on my own what people want. They're telling me what they want to know, and I can just teach it to them, right? I can just give them what they want. And I can see where an artist writer might struggle a little more with that, because they would want to just write what they want to write, which is a teacher trait. I mean, an artist trait, right? And but if you think about writing as your business, like if you want to have a business as a writer, just like any other business, you actually, if you can learn how to figure out what your reader wants and offer it to them. And then the point of social media is that that's where they already are. So if you figure out what they want, you create it for them, and then you go where they already are and you put it there, then marketing becomes way easier, far easier, even for artist writers.
Yeah, my biggest thing is because I'm not actually, what I'm doing for myself, that is not how to teach writing exactly. Mine is about my fiction books that I'm writing. So it's a matter of me getting my product out there and then finding cool things to intrigue my reader and
Right.
get them engaged.
But it's the same thing, right? I mean, not exactly the same. It's much easier to do this for nonfiction, but like you can join Facebook groups, let's say, that are full of readers. There's reader communities. There's a whole book talk thing and a whole bookstagram thing, and you can join those reader communities, and those readers are out there saying, I really wish I could find more books like this, or I really wish I could find, you know, I'm really into this aesthetic, and I wish that I could find something to read about that, and in that aesthetic, so that you're not. What happens a lot of time, what I see, and you probably don't do this, but what I see a lot of the times is people trying to figure out the trend, and by time you know it's a trend, it's too late, right? It's too late.
My thing is, I'm in between not having enough product to be able to answer all the needs. So I think as I get more product out there, that maybe that will balance out some.
Well, that's not necessarily true, though, because I believe that you don't have to have any products out to start doing this stuff, right? You just have to know what kind of stories you like to tell, right? And if you know what kind of stories you like to tell, then you can make connections with, like, okay, well, what stories are already out there that fit that, right? Like, what if there you know, another popular book or another popular movie or TV show, or, you know, if you're writing, you know, I know that one of your big projects is like a space opera, right?
And Atlantis, which is always good.
Yeah, so like that you know, I don't know, Ice Planet Barbarians is really trending right now and a popular thing, but also so is this, like, you know, I don't know, like space aesthetic and galaxy aesthetic, and like,
yeah, there's plenty of space opera out there, and it's definitely out. It's out there. I just haven't finished writing the book yet, so I don't have the product to say here.
But the thing
you can write
that
blog posts that appeal to the same readers.
Yeah, if you know that there's specific elements that you enjoy writing about that are I don't know, that other people enjoy reading about, right? So like if you, I'm trying to think of an example here, like I don't know.
You're writing, your Storm Dance Publications does a
Gods and
play on.
goddesses and
And we write about mythology and stuff like that. That one's actually really easy as far as coming up with stuff to write about.
right. But
But
content though too, like more than stuff to write about, because you could be sharing stuff on your Instagram that just plays into that aesthetic of like the gods and the goddesses. Like you could create
yeah,
an Instagram post a week that highlights, you know, a different god, right? And it's not directly tied to your book, but
and
it
that's what we
pulls
do
it.
in our Facebook group actually, and we
Yeah.
do doodly videos as well
Yeah.
about it.
So you could be doing those and posting them on Instagram or other places too. Like you don't have to have a written book in order to sell your stories that you like to write, right? Like you can bring in your audience before you have anything ready to sell, because you have other no story is 100% truly unique, right? There are other elements of your story that are seen across everywhere, not even just in stories, but in life in general, right? And if you can pinpoint what those things are and you can create content related to them, then you don't have, you know, then you can bring in an audience without having anything to sell. And what happens is when you do have something to sell, now you have, and you know, I don't know, you don't have to do one before the other is what I'm trying to get at.
Right, and I do have a email list of almost 600 people that are very active and respond, to me. And my SEO on my website is like 46, which is really high for somebody that's not known.
Yeah, that's
So,
good.
I mean, I've done all that using social media to get those SEO things up and things like that. And that's how I did it, was using social media. But I'm at a spot now where I think I need to move past that, and I hadn't quite figured out how to.
Well, you can ask
Next step.
your email list. If you already have an email list, you can ask them, what kind of content can I create for you? Or do a poll. Like, would you rather get, like have me search out, like send you a really cool space related photo every week, or link to, you could find other short stories on the web that just find one a week and send it to them. Like what but you can ask them, like, what do you want? And then you can give that to them.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I do is I link to other books and other stories in my email that are in the same genre.
Yeah.
And mostly what I'm promoting right now, though, is my fantasy. So I haven't really started promoting my space opera as big, although I've mentioned it. So
yeah. Yeah. So, well, or then but then you can, just send stuff about Atlantis or about other lost civilizations, right? And then you can start. So instead of just emailing them, you can also put them on social media to gather other audience. I don't know. I'm excited about it though.
Actually, that is something I need to do that I haven't done, that I've thought about doing, and I've thought about the things I've put out there, and I need to do that. So I agree. I definitely need to start putting it out elsewhere besides actually just in my newsletter.
Yeah, I think this is a good example of how niches are people, right? Because your people, right, there's other things that they like that are, might not directly tie into reading or your stories or things like that, but they still tie to it in some way, and there's got to be some way that you can connect with them.
Well, people who are into,
I don't know, I think about the stories. For instance, I have 2 series of books that I'm working on pretty actively this year, and I was working on just over the last few months, right? And they're they're pretty different, because one is a fantasy and one is not, right? One lives somewhere in the fantasy realm, but they both are set in kind of these like gritty small town places and have a pretty strong through line that like deals with like small town politics, right? And I feel like if I can target that like gritty small town aesthetic, right, that gives me a bunch of content that I can create for, on social media that's gonna, I don't know, attract my target
If you
reader.
have a character that's a baker in your little town, that's just kind of walk-on character, or a
Mhm.
store manager, somebody who interacts so that people will come get to know each time they come to your town.
Mhm.
You could write little stories or little snippets, or give
I
out
could, yeah.
recipes or something that they have at the bakery or
I
something.
could, but even beyond me having to write something to sell, or or to bring in my target audience, I know that like this like gritty small town uh aesthetic that I have going on, right? I've seen it in right now, like the popular TV series that I've seen it in a lot, right? Recently is um Outer Banks. um it's not or like, oh gosh, my
Virgin
mind.
River.
No, it's not like a sweet, like I don't think it's a sweet aesthetic, like small town aesthetic. It's more gritty. It's like, oh, what's that, oh, the motorcycle gang show.
Oh, Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah, like a little like grittier, like the underbelly of a, right, like the, I don't know, the more of the like the seedy underbelly of a small town, and not like the Virgin River or like Gilmore Girls or like sweet small town, right? Like, and it's a, I don't know, but I'm definitely seeing it in other TV shows, right? And other stories. And so I don't know, I could create a bookstagram that, like, I don't know, where I share a lot of stories that or share books and things like that I'm really into, that also have a similar aesthetic to them, and so I know that if my audience is being pulled in because they like those books, like they're gonna like my books when they come out, because it's a very big element part of it. And so being
Mhm.
able to look at the stories that you tell and see, like, is there a common theme or element or aesthetic that's just like really strong in your storytelling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hmm.
So, what is your it's hard we're making goals when we haven't even really learned about every aspect of we're still going to be learning about social media, but I think we can make preliminary goals. So ninja, for me, I'm going to be focusing on ninja riders and my pen name, and next month we're going to be talking about branding. But I think for this month, I think that I already have a really good handle on my niche for ninja riders, but I don't do, what happens is I get very focused on people who are already my students, and I don't do a great job of expanding out to new people. And so I think that getting like figuring out how I can use social media to tap into other places where writers are hanging out who might not have ever heard of ninja writers, and I is going to be a good idea for me this year. And for my fiction, my first novel I have like in my editorial calendar, which is intense and very kind of scary, is set to publish in May. So I think if I can set up social media between now and May for my pen name, I can start to build that audience, like Adrian was just talking about. So my goal, I think, for I have a very specific genre for my fiction that I'm putting out, and it's reverse harem, which is one of those things that like I can see that it's trendy and that it's, and since I'm self-publishing, I don't have to worry about like how long it takes to publish it, because all I have to do is just publish it, right? I'm the publisher. I don't have to wait a couple years or whatever like traditional would take. So and I can see, like, I belong to a couple of like Facebook groups for reverse harem, and there's constantly people just begging for more complete series about, that are so reverse harem. So there's voracious readers and not quite enough content for them out there. So that's what I'm doing with that. And I think my goal will be by May, I would love to have at least Instagram set up where I'm consistently putting out content. What are your goals for this year for your own writing and for Snapshot Obscura?
I just want to say first before we move on about your goal that definitely, I think if you approached Instagram for your pen name, well, both you're going to have stuff to publish, right? Both from the perspective of the reader, but also from the perspective of the writer, but also from the perspective of the reader. Like there are definitely some Instagram accounts out there that are dedicated to like reading reverse harem. And I think that they can get a little spicy, but I think you could definitely do something like that. And I think that that's one of those things, if the genre itself is the thing that the theme or the thing that you're noticing is like your niche is hungry for, that it would be like, I don't know, to me, that's a clear sign that you should definitely be taking advantage of the
reverse harem is interesting because it's almost only independently published. Like there's a couple. Janita, remember we read that? We were talking about that one book. You
Power
liked
Five?
that series of reverse harem with that lady.
The Power of Five?
No, that's self-published and it's really good. There was traditionally published and it was a woman, and then the three brothers lived together and they all want to marry the same woman. You had read it, and I read it and I was like, oh no, this is not good. It was weird. Don't say the title now because I just said I didn't like it, but it was really, really weird. I was like, no, this is not.
I don't remember the title actually though.
But it's not like the indie published stuff is a lot grittier than that. It was like really, I don't know, it was very strange, but which is fine.
I agree.
It's okay, but it was weird. But the because this particular genre is nearly only indie published, these readers are, what they're finding is that an indie author will publish one book and not finish the series. And so what I notice is that what they're asking for is, do you know of any complete series? Because they don't want to read them until they're complete, because who wants to get a third of the way into a series or something and then have it never finish? That's so awful that nobody wants to do that, because these are readers who get very invested in the lives of the people they're reading about. And so they want to finish it. So
an assignment for you that I think will help you. I think that and she's not reverse harem, but kind of adjacent, her first book. But I think that you should go look at Kate Stewart's Instagram. She is somebody who I think she does a pretty good job of like maintaining a platform, even on her face. She's on her Facebook group, and she's constantly in there sharing other people's books as well and things like that. But she does it on her Instagram as well. But I think that you should go look at her Instagram and particularly try to scroll back and look at how she promoted her Ravenhood series, because I think that she promoted it, that it would be a series right from the beginning with the first book, and she rapid released them. And so it was like known that like she was going to do that. And I think that if that's what they're looking for, then your marketing style on your,
these were not her first book. So they
weren't, but they definitely were the books that kind of pushed her over the edge. Like if you go into book communities and search for her, like on TikTok and Instagram, you're not going to hear about her other books.
No. And they're way different from these ones.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love those. Kate Stewart's books are my favorites of the whole last year. Her Ravenwood series.
I think you should definitely go, like her. She's somebody that you should go look at her Instagram and see how she promoted that series from the start, because she promoted it as a series even before the first book was published, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's how you should highlight on that if this is going to be a trilogy and the trilogy is already going to be completely written by the time you publish book number 1, that can be a big selling point for you, is what I was getting at.
Good point. I just made up a note.
Yes. For me, I have a bookstagram all put up, and I started it over the summer, and it's done really well. I have over I don't know, I had a lot going on in the fall and I dropped the ball on it, and I need to get back into it. And mostly what it is that I dropped the ball on reading as much as I was for most of the year in 2021. I was reading like a book a week from like March to September. And so I started a bookstagram account for that does really well when I post consistently on it. And I think that when I am ready to publish, it's in general just going to be something that'll be a good.
I wonder if it would be useful, rather than have my Instagram be my name, to have it be like a reverse harem one, like the Why Choose Club.
Yeah, well, definitely. I think I have this theory that, like, because I have tried Instagram before on my own, and it never really clicked for me. And part of it is that it's consistency and all that. But I have this theory that also part of the reason why, like, that helped me so much this time and why it's clicked so much this time for me is that my name in my bookstagram name is Book a Week Club. Or no, is it the Book a Week Project? It's the Book a Week Project. And I think that the name was really intriguing. And so when I followed people, and they got the notification on their app that somebody followed them, it didn't show up that like Adrian Grimes followed you, which is I don't know, odd, right? Like if it's a person, I don't know, like I think it's not as eye-catching, right? But the Book a Week Club followed you, or the Book a Week Project followed you, is much more like, oh, what's that? I might be interested in that, right? And that makes them click over and go and look at what you have. And so I think definitely in your name, if you can work it up in your handle is actually what it's called. But also some stuff that people don't know about Instagram is that when you where you go to type in your name on your where it shows up on your profile, you can add a keyword after that. So it can say Shanta Grimes reverse harem reader, or
It'd be my pen name.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, your pen name, and then
my real name is
Reverse Harem Book Club or whatever, right? So and you should do that, because it's the same thing as when you get the notification, you get that notification that, I don't know, they see a little more than just your name, and I think that's important. They can see what type of content you're going to post before you post it, and that's something that a lot of people don't know that they can do. So anyways, I think my goal is to get back to that, because I think I've already built that platform, and I think that I know it works, and that if I can, I think it's going to be a big selling point for me when people or when I do have books out. And it's something that I've always said, I'm a reader before I'm a writer. Like I feel like I give really good advice to writers because I'm such a big reader, and I know like what I want to read. And so I'm like, I'm your target reader. But they're like, I don't know. I'm interested in this way of coming about success in publishing through being a part of reader communities. Like there's been quite a few like bookstagrammers or booktubers or and whatnot that started out that way, and then they marketed their book to their group, and it has worked really well for them. And I don't know, I'm interested in that that side of it. So I think my goal for my own platform is to get back to that, and also reminding myself that I actually, you know, everybody has what do you call it, like, I don't know, just everybody has lags in their reading routines, and nobody reads constantly all the time. And so like even the bookstagrammers and the booktubers and the people who have these accounts, you know, are posting other content even when they're not reading. And so I need to focus on that. Even if I'm not reading, I still need to be posting content. And then for Snapshot Obscura, which is our vintage photo business that we're starting up, I'm really excited about this one.
I am too, and we can explore direct sales through social media.
Yeah, we
in a
can.
way that we can't really
yeah.
explore with our other stuff as much.
Yeah, and we know. So with that one, we already know because Shanta's, you know, spent the last year putting, you know, getting involved in the, you know, vintage communities on YouTube and on Facebook, and so we have a good understanding of how that works. But I come from, I have a you know, a degree in art history, and you know, a degree in art, and I worked in galleries and all of that. And so I'm very interested in the curation part of that whole process of vintage photo selling. And I just think that if we were to get Snapshot Obscura onto Instagram from the start, that it could be a way to target higher paying customers, like art collectors, right? If I were to go onto Snapshot and target the people that are interested in the vintage photos as just like a hobby, or you know, other vintage photo sellers, but also target the people, the art collectors, and the people that are interested in galleries and purchasing art and all of that, that we could be selling photos and for you know, a much higher price from the start. Like we could have a much higher end audience from the start. And just the idea, I think, of curating my like an Instagram, a photo Instagram that acts more like a gallery is very exciting to me. It uses
Yeah.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, no, this is going to be fun. And I'm excited to just explore something new.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited about it. How about you, Janita?
My goals?
Yeah, your social media goals for.
Well, mainly, I'm revamping my newsletter for my author and for Storm Dance, and I want to get active at least on one platform. We're already actually active on Facebook with Storm Dance, so maybe involve Twitter or Instagram now with them. I haven't set up an Instagram account for that one yet, so I need to do that. And then for myself, I'm just Facebook and Twitter I've already got going, and again, I think just playing with Instagram, and I've been getting my feet wet with that with Insecure by Support Group, which has actually been going pretty good, and I am learning kind of what works and what don't work and that kind of thing. And
I am a little bit nervous about TikTok, and my gut feeling is that TikTok is going to be the thing for ninja writers that I end up really needing to do. I'm finally, it took me a really long time to want to have anything to do with video, and I think thanks to the pandemic a lot and having to do Zoom so much, I have gotten more comfortable. So I've been doing YouTube every single day since I think March, right, Adrian?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm far more comfortable with YouTube than I literally ever thought that I might ever be now. So that's good news. But I think that one thing is that short videos like you could do on YouTube, on TikTok are going to be something I can create easily for ninja writers, like how to write something.
They do really well on Instagram too, and so it's a content that you can cross post on both platforms. platforms.
Oh, there we go. You can. You don't have. You can.
And on Pinterest too. I've noticed a lot now. Like if I go to search things, I'm on Pinterest a lot lately because I've been getting very into bullet journaling. And Pinterest is like a haven for bullet journal inspiration. And also for like crocheting and stuff. So, I've been very crafty.
Fran is an official Granny Millennial.
I've been very crafty lately, and I've noticed that when I go to search for things and inspiration on Pinterest, that I'm often coming, like I'll click on something thinking it's a photo and it's a TikTok or a reel.
Oh.
And I'm seeing that a lot. So
that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's it. You can look on the rest of this month for the introduction to social media for writers.
Did Janita finish sharing her goals?
Oh, I don't know. Janita, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to focus on really one platform, probably Instagram, because that's the one I'm least comfortable with. So
I think that's the best thing to do. And I think that you don't have, like, a very important thing that we're going to be focusing on, I think this month and next month, is that you don't have to be everywhere all at the same time.
No, but it's a good idea to think about where your audience already is.
It is. You have to think about where your audience is, but it's much more, but you don't have to be everywhere. You could choose one of those platforms where your audience is and dedicate, most of your time right now to learning that platform. And then once you learn it, it becomes easier, and then you have more time to learn the next platform. But you don't have to do the thing.
I was thinking about this when I was writing that particular thing, when I was writing my email for this week. I thought to myself, it's okay to not want to be on a specific platform. And it's another thing to not be on that platform because you're afraid of it. And I'm not
talking about not doing it because you're afraid of it. I'm just saying you don't have to do it all at the same time. You can choose one thing and focus on that, and then add in the other thing.
But I do followers on my Twitter already, and my Facebook has like 600 or 800. So it's actually my Instagram that's my least one that I work with. So.
But I think that some people are afraid of social media, and like whenever I hear about somebody who's like a writer who is just not on Facebook, and I'm like, I get it, I do, but a billion people are. And so it seems to me like refusing to take part in social media because you don't personally like it is like making it so much harder to connect with your readers. And so I think part of what we can do here this year is at least make social media something you can be comfortable enough with to engage in some way, somewhere. Because like it or not, most of the world is on social media in some way. Like most of the world, there's over 1 billion people on Facebook. So you don't have to like it, and you don't have to enjoy being on it for your personal stuff. And maybe you never want to share anything personal, but like not being on it at all so that you can be in the spaces where your readers are seems like a mistake to me. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but it seems like a mistake to me.
Well, yeah, it definitely is a mistake. And I think I don't know, but I think that it helps you, if it helps to encourage you to not be afraid. I don't know. It helps me to think that, well, if I'm nervous about getting started on a platform, that, I only have to do the one platform and I don't have to do everything.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Yep. And that kind of, I don't know, lessens the fear for me.
Also, if you approach it as you're a reader, if you're a reader and you love to read, just get involved in the groups that you love to read about, the books that you like to talk about, not make it about you, make it about the reading and the things that you enjoy. And then when you interact with those people, that you're in front of them, and then eventually, you start talking and interacting with them, and they may ask you what you do, and you say, I'm author. They may say, oh, well, give me your link, and that kind of thing. And that's how a lot of people will get involved. It's just by getting involved as a reader in reader groups
Yeah.
that they enjoy.
Yeah, I think a lot of one way to think about a niche that should not be discounted is that you are most likely your niche, right? Your target reader, your target, right? Like I am.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that you probably know where your audience is more active on, because you're probably on that platform as an audience, right? So you probably, I don't know, like Shanta, knows that selling paper ephemera is popular on YouTube because she was part of that community as a fan,
buyer.
right? As a buyer. And so she, I don't know, like it's she's just adding another layer onto something that she's already doing, right? Like I'm already reading books and I'm already watching TV shows and movies that are inspiring my writing, and I those I'm writing in fields that I really enjoy reading, as an audience member. I don't know,
Consumer.
as a consumer. And so I don't know, sometimes it's much easier, I think, to think about getting into these communities as a consumer first, and then thinking, and then you get more comfortable as a consumer, and then you can become the seller.
Well, plus there's the whole thing that it takes forever to write a book. So you might as well be using that time to like engage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that is the whole key to social media, engagement.
Being part of the community. And so not just joining and then like looking for when they're open, like everyone can say when they're what they have for sale on Fridays and Ninja Writers or whatever, like not only coming in on those days and saying, here's my thing for sale, but like engaging, answering questions, meeting people, saying hello when you come in, whatever, makes a huge difference.
Yeah, that's something that I need to. That's actually one of my big goals for this year, is to figure out social media engagement, because I figured out the content part, and a bit of the finding your audience part. But
we have a Ninja writer named Marilyn who for a long time, before she was ever writing anything, she was like the world's best reader. Like you definitely wanted Marilyn on your side because she read and responded, and she started writing on Medium with like hundreds of followers because she did such a good job of being part of the community of readers there that everyone else followed her back. And then when she started writing, she wasn't writing into a void. She was writing to these people who already knew who she was because she was engaging with them. And I don't know, that there's something really powerful there.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're struggling with what your niche is, I think a good strategy could be to consider the communities that you're already a part of.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And you might find that your niche is in that community. Mm-hmm. Which if it is, that's great, because then it means that, you've got this whole community that you're already a part of that, will hopefully be.
Yeah. So let's talk for a second about where on Ninja Writers you can get more help with niching and figuring out who your niche is, and just thinking about your social media strategy at this early point where you're just still learning, if you are still learning. We have the Working Writer Call that's part of Ninja Writers Club. We do have for January a coupon for a free month of the club. So we'll put that in the discussion below, or in the description. What's it called? The show notes. We'll put that in the show notes so that you can join for free. And then you can come and talk about your niche in the Working Writer. We also have a tech call on Tuesday nights at 8:00. It's one of our most long-standing calls, and it's a basic tech call. Meg Stewart runs that call, and she is the most patient person. She will hold your hand, meet you right where you are. I mean, if you are like, I need to go on Twitter or whatever, but I don't even know how to get an account, like she'll help you figure it out. She will hold your hand. If she doesn't know, she'll figure it out with you. Whatever it is, she does know how to open a Twitter account though. So you could go to that call. What else? We have
did you say Working Writer?
we have Working Writer, which also is Meg, and that's on Sundays at noon Eastern. And we have Meg does a lot of our this type of thing, but we also have self-branding, which is a standalone course, and right now it's just finishing, but it will be open again this summer, I think. Right?
Self-branding, yeah, it'll be open, I think, in May or June.
Yeah, so we could put a link to a waiting list in the show notes, so that if you want to know, because that is definitely. And then we also have in the guild, which we will put a link to how to join the guild. It's the second tier of membership. Adrian taught a whole class, 8-week class, and it's one of our most popular classes we've ever done. It was so popular we ran it a second time, which we never do. It's called, she has 2 of them, Canva for writers and Instagram for writers. And so those are 2 8-week classes that are pretty deep dive. And
also, I taught one about how to get the most out of your content too, which would be
so Adrian has some content classes, and those are all in the guild. So we will link to how you can get access to those things in the show notes. And I think that's about it. You know, if you have questions, you can always come to YouTube every single morning. We are on YouTube at 10 a.m. Eastern for our 10-minute sprint, and we love staying around for a few minutes to answer questions after. And Monday through Friday, we're there actually at 9 for an extra hour of writing sprints if you want to join us for that. And we'll put our YouTube channel in the show notes as well. And I'm pretty sure that's it. Does anybody else have any last things? We're done. You guys are amazing. Thank you for being here with me, Janita and Adrian.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.